Hello everyone, this is Khalid Keshta. Today is the first day in the Parents vs Type 1 campaign. As you might have known already from the promo video that I did, the campaign is going to be run into different series of videos. So today is part 1. Let me show you quickly what we're going to be going through today. So get your notes ready if needed. I also have a cute whiteboard behind me in case I need to sketch or write anything on it. And let's start with the first topic. Type 1 diabetes, as most of us already know, is when the body fails to produce insulin. There is an organ in our body called the pancreas, and it's responsible for excreting the insulin hormone, and it fails to do so. Now, before I get into more scientific terms, Type 1 diabetes isn't your fault, isn't your kid's fault, it's no one's fault. So, talking to a kid right now, if your parents had or have bad habits, for example, let's say smoking or whatever you could think of, it has nothing to do with your type 1 diabetes. Talking to a parent, if your kid is eating a lot of candy, if they're obese, it has nothing to do with type 1 diabetes. So it's no one's fault and there is no one to accuse. So how does type 1 diabetes happen in youngsters? And this also applies to adults. Type 1 diabetes is an autoimmune disease. What does that even mean? Our immune system normally attacks foreign bodies, anything that gets inside our body from outside, okay? Our immune system mistakenly thinks that this specific organ or this specific cell is coming from outside. It's a foreign body, so it attacks it. So in our case, our immune system attacks a type of cells in our pancreas, the organ that produces the insulin. The pancreas has got three different major type of cells: alpha, beta, delta. The beta cells are what produces insulin. The rest are different topic we're going to talk about. So our immune system decides it's going to attack the cells till it destroys it completely. And that's how type 1 diabetes occur. There is an article already on Diabetes Sports Academy about type 1 diabetes. So after this session, go check it out, read more about it. Multiple sclerosis, inflammatory bowel disease, Addison disease, and there's a lot more. They are all autoimmune diseases. So, how do you know that you or your kid have type 1 diabetes? Obviously, apart from the testing, there are symptoms that will actually lead to you testing. Symptoms such as thirst, lack of concentration, excessive urination, extreme weight loss, increased fatigue, and all of these symptoms, there is a reason behind it. Because remember, type 1 diabetes is the lack of insulin. Before knowing that you or your kid have the type 1 diabetes, it means that you have no insulin in the body. And I will explain exactly what is the role of insulin to be able to link it to the symptoms I just mentioned. So what symptoms you should be looking for in a toddler? So they are exactly the same symptoms, but the difference is a toddler can't express themselves. So if you take, for example, peeing a lot, a toddler will just wet themselves. If you take losing weight, a toddler probably won't even grow. So you will realize that, the size is not the average size. So this raises questions. Other stuff such as rashes in the diapers, dehydration. So, thirst that I mentioned. In a toddler, they get so dehydrated, but again, it's not easy for them to express their feelings. So they could get like a fruity smell in their mouth or the urine due to the excess amount of sugar inside. They could experience something called ketoacidosis. I wrote about it in Diabetes Sports Academy. You can check it here. I will try to explain it as well in one of the videos in the series. So now, why is insulin important to us? Insulin, as I said, is produced in the body from the pancreas. What is the point of insulin? When we eat a food made of carbohydrates, carbohydrates, they get broken down in the body into the simplest form of sugars, which is glucose. Now, the glucose needs to enter the cells. If you have, let's say, a bowl of rice, for example, it's going to get broken down into glucose and it's going to remain in the bloodstream until the insulin that is meant to be excreted in our body allows that glucose to enter the cells for us to use it as energy, or for us to use it to recover, to build the muscles, whatever the reason is. As long as it's only in the bloodstream, it's completely useless to us and it's toxic to our blood. And that's why when you suffer from a hyperglycemia, a high blood sugar level, it's very, very dangerous to prolong it, because it's very toxic. You might get into something called the ketoacidosis. So in short, insulin works as a key to open the cells for the glucose to get in. Without that key, it's very dangerous. And that's why us type 1 diabetics, we take insulin artificially to open the cells for the glucose to get in. So your kid recently got diagnosed, but the blood sugar is all over the place and you feel that you really need insulin. Now, this is something called the honeymoon phase. Honeymoon phase is a phase just after you get diagnosed with type 1, in which the pancreas is still kind of working. Not in full efficiency, but it's working to some extent. So it's producing minimal amount of insulin to try to aid the control of your blood sugar levels. So now, is the honeymoon phase a good thing or a bad thing? There are mixed opinions, mixed reviews about it. Depends on personal preference. I'm gonna answer this in the next video, and I'm gonna also show you how to deal with your kid or with yourself around it, because it's a very temporary phase. Straight away, it could take a few days. It could take a couple of years. I read at one point someone was suffering from it for a couple of years. And you might not even experience it at all. But stay tuned. Next video, I'm gonna answer this along with the rest of the questions as you see.